All right, coming in at number 3 on our Locked On Senators NHL draft rankings from the Michigan State Spartans. It's Artyom Levshunov.
Ross, I think this is the most interesting prospect in the draft. You have such different reports, more consistently on the upside of Lev Shunov, but there's a lot of detractors. Hockey Prospects, one of them, they have Lev Shunov down at 10. And a lot of people looking at inconsistency from this player, but he has all the tools. Artyom Levshunov, a right shot defenseman, I've got him closer to 6'2", but I guess just measured around 6'1". What do we have him at weight?
Just under 6'1". He's 6 feet and 3/4 of an inch here. So hey, that's what these
Let's
guys
round up for Artyom here. We'll say
Artie.
6'1".
Okay, we still have him actually here. I've got the combined weights. He's 6'1.75", 205 pounds.
Okay, so yeah, right side of 6 feet, right side of 200 pounds. So that's what you want to see.
He'll be listed in the NHL at 6'2".
Okay, good. He played for the Michigan State Spartans. In 38 games, he had 9 goals, 26 assists, good for 35 points, plus 27. This is a right shot defenseman, Ross, that is very well rounded when you look at all the tools that he has as a prospect. EP awarded him second best highest floor and second best transitional defenseman, third best offensive defenseman, and fifth best highest ceiling. And their ratings for him are very similar to Sam Dickinson, where it's pretty consistent all around. They got him at a 6.5 skating, a 6 for shooting, passing, puck handling, and hockey sense, and a 7.5 for physical. So you're getting a complete package with an elevated physical game. And I think if you're looking for a right shot defenseman, that's music to a lot of teams' ears.
Not only that, but he's more mature in the fact that he's an early birthday October, one of the oldest players in the draft, and he's already played his freshman season in the NCAA. He's a guy I think could compete if he does decide to go that route with an NHL roster spot in the fall. Now, he would have to make the decision to come out of school. There's no turning back if he does end up signing a contract. He would either be NHL or AHL, but I think there's a real world where he takes the fast track to the National Hockey League. He's number 2 on Corey Pronman and Chris Peters' board. He's at number 3 for Scott Wheeler, 4 for Elite Prospects. Now, Bob McKenzie is going to be putting out his final rankings next Monday. Right now, though, he's at 4th as of the post-lottery. However, he did, interestingly, have Anton Siliev at number 3. So despite being at number 4, Bob McKenzie had him as the second defenseman on his rankings. And then McKeen's has Levshunov down at 6. Craig Button, the lowest on him, at 8th. But again, Craig is projecting 5-6 years down the road, which I mean, some teams should at this juncture. But look, the points stand out when you watch him play. I was gonna say, like, it doesn't always look mature. There is, I think, a lot of development that needs to happen for him to reach his potential, which is a top pairing defenseman. He could be a minute eating, positive impact player for years to come. You just throw him on your right side and you know that you'll be able to have consistency. But I think to get there, he's going to have a bit more coaching. And that's, again, just with years of experience. I feel like he gets a bit lost out there sometimes in coverage.
Yeah, he's definitely a bit of a rover. I feel like that's fair. For me, Ross, I would say that Levshunov is certainly the example of a guy you draft for what he could become, not what he is now. I think, in my opinion, let him go back to Michigan State. It's a great program there. Nothing wrong with that. And then, Ross, I don't even think it's that crazy to have him play a season in the AHL just to be able to learn how to play up against men. Not that he couldn't handle the NHL earlier. I just think, why rush this guy and break his confidence? Build it up, and then I think in 3 to 5 years, you're going to have an elite top pairing defenseman, because there's so many abilities here. Like, he's so confident carrying the puck up the ice. He's very active in the O zone, Ross. That's where I kind of talk about him being the rover, kind of like Jamie Drysdale, right? Like, He's not a guy that's just going to stay in that little circle zone in the right hand side of the offensive zone at the blue line. He's moving around, and he's a big stick in the air, like waving around, like I'm open, kind of like
Little Travis
Travis
Hamonic,
Hamonic.
eh?
Yeah, you knew that's where I was going. So he does do that. He wants the puck. His teammates know he wants the puck. He's got a nice wrister from the point, Ross. You know I love that, but where I like his offensive game is inside the offensive zone, like I mentioned, because he's constantly moving. I see this guy as being a quarterback for a PP1 unit. I think he's that talented. And he's a guy that likes to use his skating to be activated off the rush. Like, he'll make a pass to start a breakout, and then he's already chugging along, and his teammate knows to give it back to him. He can carry the puck into the zone and then rip a clean wrister past a goalie there. And he's done that a couple times in this season. So there's really, offensively, I do see the potential here. And like I mentioned, EP awarded him third best offensive defenseman in the draft. So certainly they see it as well. So when he's on his game offensively, Ross, he really pops.
Oh, he definitely pops. Like, I think if he hits his absolute peak, we're looking at like a Drew Doughty type. Like, I do
Yeah,
think
that's
he
fair.
has that potential to be a minute munching defenseman that you're always in the off, not always in the offensive zone, but you always have a leg up in the terms of the quality of competition when he's on the ice. It's funny that you say that, and the more I think back to our conversation with Scott Wheeler when we talked to him about Lev Shunovin, he made a very good point. Artem Levshunov has played in 3 different leagues in the last 3 seasons. I think there's definitely some merit for him to go back, even just to take a deep breath and say, look, I'm at least knowing that my development is going to be in the same spot for 24 months, because he's been moving around. He played on Team Belarus 2 years ago, then was with the Green Bay Gamblers last season, and then, of course, with the Spartans this past year. So I'm warming up to that idea. I think it's going to also depend a bit with who drafts him. I think that if you're a Chicago and an Anaheim, you can really afford to be patient, even
Yeah.
Columbus. So it's just if he falls, really, that the question starts coming up that like Ottawa would want him probably to turn pro. Is that the best long-term thing? Maybe, maybe not. But I think whether it was in Belleville or Ottawa, they'd probably want more control over his development right under their nose. I could be way out to lunch on that one. I just think there is that aspect where you have this shiny new toy. You're really excited to work with it because there are so many tools that could make Levshunov a top pair defenseman, but he's not there yet. There
Yeah.
are maybe too many brain cramps at times as well, giving up pucks in bad situations. And I didn't really see it, but the people who have him lower say that sometimes the compete isn't always at 100%. I would probably look at that, and I'd want to dive into a little bit deeper about, okay, is he playing 30 minutes a game, and is it just 2 shifts that you're noticing that, or is it a pattern at start of games, or what? I don't have the answer to that, but I know that natural ability, he's right up there. And when you add the physical traits, then you're starting to think, okay, that might be the separator between him and a Zane Parekh, Zeev Buium, Sam Dickinson, Anton Silayev, that he has the size, not quite of the Silayevs of the
Yeah.
world, but he has such a wide range of tools at his disposal. I think scouts are going to fall in love with him. It's going to be so interesting to me whether or not he goes second overall to Chicago. They have a real hard decision to make because you can also see Demidov and Bedard for years to come. And the thought of Bedard having 3 years experience before Demidov potentially comes over to play with him, and then he's got a 3-year entry level, like that might be too much to pass up. But then if you draft Levshunov at number 2, you could have solidified that entire decor with Korchinski, Vlasic, and then maybe you haven't solidified. Maybe you need one more piece, and maybe they get that in the Seth Jones trade down the road. But I like Levshunov a lot. I've been going back and forth, but Pilsy, I do think Zeev Buium is my number 1 defenseman in this draft class. Levshunov will likely be number 5 on my final list.
5th defenseman or 5th overall?
No, 5th overall,
Okay.
second defenseman. Thank you
Gotcha,
for
gotcha.
allowing me to clarify. I wouldn't want that one to get twisted up.
Yeah. I I can't see a world where Chicago doesn't draft this guy. I was reading an EP article where they were saying Chicago's taken him out to multiple dinners. They've been talking with him. Even at the combine, Lev Shinov mentioned he's been talking a lot with Chicago. I think it makes a lot of sense there. But to talk about some of the negative aspects that you touched on a little bit there, Will Scouch was showing in his video examples of just how easily he gets beat defensively. And then when that happens, he kind of just gets pissed off and starts slashing and cross checking, kind of like, oh man, you made me look silly there. I'm going to make you pay for it physically, which isn't always the best approach.
Kind of a Yakemchuk quality too.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, he definitely Levchinov has a mean side to him for sure. And he definitely makes questionable passes that are turned over more often than not when leaving the zone, where it's like he's got his head down and he just does like a backhand shovel and it's a pizza up the middle. And you're like, what are you doing there? Like, come on. So definitely that happens. The hockey sense, you're a little unsure of it. And he's inconsistent. Like EP scouting reports, Ross, I don't know if you read through them, but one person one night will be like, this guy's the best defenseman. And then the same person 2 nights before or whatever is like, I was so frustrated watching Levchinov. So the inconsistencies he's going to have to figure out, but a skill that he does really well, and Pierre Dorion would love this, boxing out in front. He makes those forwards' life a living hell just trying to stand there and get their stick on the ice. He's lifting sticks. He's cross-checking in the back. He's getting a shoulder under guys and moving guys over. Like, he boxes out very, very well. And he does do a good job. David St. Louis kind of showed it, of angling guys with his skating and with his size. Like, not even being physical, just cutting off angles for them to create space, and then they get kind of pigeonholed in a corner or off to the side or wide rather than going through the middle. So there's a lot of things here that there's ups and downs to Lev Shinov, but Ross, I see the dream. I see the potential. I see in 3 to 5 years, in my mind, this guy's going to be a top pair right shot defenseman.
Is he the best defenseman in this draft class?
In my opinion, no. So Ross, you mentioned your rankings there. I'm going to go to mine to double check it, but so I have Zane Parekh as the top defenseman, then Lev Shinov, then Buium. So ours are kind of split there.
Then we each have Sam Dickinson as the next guy.
Yes, exactly. Having said that, though, Ross, Lev Shinov is a 5-star guy for me. This is the type of player the Ottawa Senators have coveted for a long time. It's hard to find a guy like this. Sure, you're going to have to wait, and I do believe another season in college and maybe an AHL season will be necessary. But when he reaches his peak, I think he's going to plateau at a peak, and he's going to be a consistent top pairing power play guy that's going to get better defensively, and his hockey sense is going to improve. So I don't think it's possible, Ross, that he slides to the Sens at 7, but if he did, I would take the chance on him, even though it's going to take some time.
If he fell to ? You would consider trading up for Artem Levshunov?
No trade ups. Nope. I'm not trading up for anybody, Ross.
Artem Levshunov comes in at number 3 on our Locked On Senators NHL draft rankings with an average of 4.1. You can find all of our draft profiles online on YouTube, where we will also have our full first-round mock draft with lots of special guests that will drop Saturday, June 22nd at 10 a.m.